Hi there, my name's Catherine. I hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to be talking about my October TBR, all the books that I am currently planning to read in the spookiest month of them all. I've got some romantasy, I've got some gothic ghost stories, I've got some more straight up psychological, possibly gory horror, which will be fun. So quite the variety, and I am really excited for this month's picks. So the first book that I'm definitely, without a doubt, 100% going to read in October, it's pre-ordered, it comes out October 24th. It's A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. This is the third book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, which I devoured last month. When I say I'm obsessed, I can't describe to you how in love with this series I am, and I am so excited for this new book. Because it's the third book in the series, I can't go into much of the plot without giving away a ton of spoilers. So what I will say is that if you like young adult romantasy fiction, which is written in a fairy tale-esque style tone of writing, then this series will be perfect for you, and I cannot recommend enough to go out, read the first and second book so that you can read the third book with all of us when it comes out. The next book that I will definitely be reading this month is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandanna. My sister-in-law and I have a wee book club that we do, just the two of us, and each month we alternate taking turns picking what book we'll read that month. And this week it was her turn and she chose this book, and I'm very excited for it. It sounds like such a wee perfect cozy read for October. It follows a woman named Mika Moon, who is one of the few witches who lives in Britain. She has to keep her powers hidden and stay away from any other witches in order to prevent drawing any attention to their magical powers from the general population. Because of this, she's quite lonely and isolated. She's also an orphan, so she kind of keeps to herself, except from online, where she posts videos in which she pretends to be a witch. She doesn't expect any of these videos to be taken seriously, but of course someone does, and she is recruited to teach 3 young witches how to control their magic in this strange place called the Nowhere House. She accepts the position and her life inevitably becomes entangled with the other inhabitants of the Nowhere House, and she begins to hope that she has finally found somewhere she belongs. I'm really excited for this read because it sounds like it's got a major found family trope involved, which I adore. It sounds like it has a really interesting, diverse cast of characters and an intriguing plot, and overall I'm just excited for a cozy read that I can cuddle up in bed with. The next book on my list is The House Witch by Delemhach. This was initially published on Royal Road, I think, and it got like millions of hits, which led to it being published in physical form. So I'm very excited for this read. I actually bought it last October to read for Halloween and I just never got round to it, so I'm determined to this year. This follows our main character, Finley Ashawan, who gets a job as a royal cook for the king and queen of Daxaria. Nobody knows who he is, where he came from, and that suits him just fine. He likes to keep to himself. But Finley is a house witch and he can't resist meddling in the affairs of the court. So his powers are gradually discovered by the people around him, and he finds himself getting involved in lots of adventures and misadventures whilst juggling dramas from his past and a new love life. I don't know why, but when I was looking up the plot summary for this book, the main character was just giving me really Merlin vibes. I think because it looks to me like it's set in quite a medieval setting, and the character to me sounds like the character of Merlin in the BBC show, who I love. I feel like when I'm reading this, I'm just going to be picturing Colin Morgan, to be honest. This is also a romantic fantasy, which we love, and it just sounds really fun and a page turner and just like a fun romp. So I really hope this is good. I've heard good things about it. The next book I'm planning on reading is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is a big TikTok sensation, I think. I'm not on TikTok anymore, so I don't really know what's big on Book Talk, but my sister-in-law is on Book Talk and she recommended it to me and I've heard lots of good things about it, so I think this month I'm gonna dive right in. This takes place in a fantasy war setting in which the gods of this world have awoken after a centuries-long sleep and they are fighting each other. We follow our main character Iris Winnow, whose mother struggles with addiction and whose brother is currently missing on the front lines of this war, and she's kind of relying on getting this columnist promotion at the Oath Gazette in order to hold her family together. Meanwhile, she writes letters to her brother that she slips under her wardrobe and they then mysteriously disappear. But little does she know that they are being received by her academic rival Roman Kit, and when he begins anonymously writing back to her, they begin to develop this deep connection with each other. Honestly, I had decided to read this book not knowing what the plot was, and when I looked up to the plot, I was completely sold. It sounds incredible. It ticks all my boxes: enemies to lovers, academic rivals who don't realise they're falling for each other. It's just like everything I love wrapped up into a book. So I'm so hoping this delivers what I want from it. I pretty much already know I'm gonna love this, so unless the writing is really bad, I think it might be a new favourite, but I've got my sister-in-law's recommendation and it's clearly very popular, so I've got really high hopes. The next book I'm planning on reading is White is for Witching by Helen Oyeyemi. This is more a classic ghost story vibe for October. I've been meaning to read this for the past 2 years. My sister lent it to me and I've had it sitting on my shelf for that long. I've just not gotten around to reading it. I've clearly gone very romance heavy this month. I wanted to make sure that I was getting in some like more classic ghost horror stories as well. This story is set in a strange house on the cliffs of Dover and it follows the Silver family who are mourning the loss of mother and wife Lily. Whilst this is happening, the house is beginning to act strangely itself. It's making strange, weird, uncanny sounds. It's creating mazes to confuse any visitors to the house, and the trees in the garden are producing apples in the dead of winter. Miranda, who is one of Lily's children, can sense generations of women trapped in the walls of the house, and she feels herself slipping away to join them until one night she disappears completely. I'm excited for this book because, like I said, it's a different vibe to the other books I've listed so far. It'll be great for Halloween. I think it's quite popular and my sister really enjoyed it. So I think this will be a perfect read for later on in the month when I want something a bit more atmospheric and a bit more spooky. The next book I'm planning on reading this month is Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by LaRocca. This is different from the rest of the books I've mentioned too because this is a collection of 3 short stories and I don't know much about it at all, but it's been on my radar for quite a while now. Back when I did have TikTok, it was listed in a recommendation video I saw and it sold me immediately by describing one of the short stories in it, which is apparently about 2 women who meet on a internet chat room in the early 2000s and who end up succumbing to their darkest, most horrific desires. That's the only story that I have any information about, but apparently the collection is just really dark and disturbing, which I am completely here for. And I was immediately drawn to the cover. It's so eye-catching and really uncanny and disturbing. I love. I'm also excited because I don't actually read that many short stories for pleasure. Back when I was in uni, I would read more, but they were assigned to us. So I think I've got quite a big gap in my reading from discarding short story collections and short stories. So I want to try and get better at reading short stories and maybe this will kickstart it for me. The final book that I've got listed is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. This is a romance between 2 characters, Jeannie and Logan. Jeannie's aunt gifts her the Pumpkin Spice Cafe in the small town of Dream Harbour and Jeannie jumps at the chance of a fresh start and to leave her desk job behind. Logan is a local farmer in Dream Harbour and he hates gossip so much and he hates that that's such a big part of being in this small town. When their worlds collide, Logan finds himself inexplicably drawn to Jeannie even though they have really conflicting personalities and a romance between them soon ensues. I think this will be a really fun, quick, grumpy sunshine romance to read, and the description is really giving me Stardew Valley vibes from like this girl inheriting this cafe. Stardew Valley is a farm, and leaving her desk job behind to go and just live a nice quiet life, and then Logan as well is a farmer. So I'm just hoping we have some scenes where Logan has to get up at 7 a.m. in the morning, rush to Pierre's, buy a shit ton of blueberry seeds so he can plant them in time to make the most amount of profit available by the end of the season. I miss playing Stardew Valley. Anyway, I think this is going to be such a sweet little story to disappear into, and I can't wait. So that's everything I've got planned to read this month. I am so excited for it. I think I'm going to enjoy every single one of these books, to be honest. I don't think there's going to be any duds. Maybe that is a bold statement to make, but I'm feeling overly confident. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing upcoming week. Bye!